I started playing hymns straight from the hymnal, almost from the time that I started studying piano, way back in 1969. And by the time I was proficient enough, I was playing piano in church, playing all the great hymns of the faith and some of the not so great hymns, but we're not going to worry about them. Occasionally, viewers will request that I do a tutorial on how to play specific hymns. We've done hymns like Blessed Assurance, What a Friend We Have in Jesus, and the hymn that somebody asked for this video is Great is Thy Faithfulness, a truly great hymn with a very meaningful text. And I think you'll find this one very rewarding to learn how to play. So I'm going to show you basically how to play it as a soloist. In this video, I don't really go into how to play it as an accompanist. A lot of times when you're playing hymns in the church, you do tend to play the melody very strongly, and that helps the congregation to stay on tune or stay in track or stay on track with the tune. There, that's the best way to say that. So I'm not too worried about just learning how to play the chords, but I want you to learn how to play the melody and create an accompaniment in your left hand, or sometimes in your left hand and right hand combined. So let's spend a little time looking at this great hymn of the faith, Great is Thy Faithfulness. So let's begin by playing the melody. And as you remember, when you play from a hymnal, the melody is always the soprano part. These hymns are written out in 4-part harmony, soprano, alto, tenor, bass, and the soprano most of the time is the one who has the melody. So we're in the key of E flat, 3/4 time. So I'm starting here with my third finger. Basically, my hand is in this position, outlining the E flat major chord. So that enables me to play that first line without really having to move my hand too much, and I'm able to easily figure out what fingers to use. And then here I've got to change to another position. So I'm in this position now so that I can cover these notes without having to do anything awkward. And then here we cross over, and this puts us in a position to play this next phrase. And there we go. Now, we're going to switch from this 5th finger to the 2nd finger, and now we can play this next line. Now, if I don't change position, I end up having to use my thumb on a black key, which is always a little awkward. You can do it, but it might be easier to do something like this. And then instead of going to your 4th finger, go to your 3rd, and then cross over. This is not too hard to cross over here. And then jump from the thumb to the 3rd finger. Basically, you want to find the fingering that is comfortable for you. And we are starting by just playing the tune one note at a time. Later on, we'll figure out how to add some other notes in the right hand to make it even fuller sounding. And now we're into this next part. And you cross over there to get that last note. Now we're at the chorus. We have this little phrase that repeats a step higher. That's what makes this a very singable and memorable melody. Now, here, if you put your hand in this position, you'll find that you can play this entire next phrase without really moving your hand that much. And you'll notice that this part of the chorus is actually the same phrase, or the same, well, it's the same phrase, I guess you could call it. That's very similar to what you find in the verse, where you're singing Thou Changest Not. Now we sing All I Have Needed. And so we want to go back to where we go from the 5th finger to the 3rd. And then you can cross over. And then jump to the 3rd finger. Now we're at the very last line. Go to your 3rd finger here. Thumb, 3, thumb, 3. So spend some time working through the melody. We're going to start by playing just a single note, but now let's figure out the chords. Now when you're playing hymns, you don't necessarily have to play everything that's written down here. We are just dealing with the tune, and we want to add the chords. And we can actually play simpler chords. You'll notice in the first measure, you've got this augmented chord. You can put that in if you want. Or you can leave it out. So the first chord is obviously going to be E flat. And then you'll notice in the second measure, if you follow the bass line, and I would encourage you to learn to read the bass clef if you have not done so, you'll notice that the root is A flat, which means we have an A flat chord. Now you don't necessarily have to play this. You could if you wanted to, but you could also play the A flat chord in second inversion. And then you can add a B flat 7 chord in this inversion. So this is the B flat 7 chord in root position, first inversion, second inversion. And this allows you to go back to A flat, E flat. And then here, we have A flat going to E flat. You can play it in second inversion, and then F7, B flat 7, and you can stay on the B flat 7 under Thou Changest Not, E flat. Now you can do something a little fancy here. You can play E flat, F minor, G minor, A flat. And then you actually end up with an A flat 6, playing an A flat chord, and the melody is F. Or if you want to play it more closely to the way it is in the hymnal, now we have the E flat chord instead of G minor. And then we have a diminished chord here. Now we have to make the left hand jump down. And we want to play perhaps in this inversion. Like that. Now we're into the chorus. And then we have a C7. Now you can either play it this way, or you can sneak in a B flat minor chord. And then we have the B flat 7. I always find it hard to talk and play at the same time. So we still have the B flat 7 chord. Goes back to E flat. And here's that same thing again. Then a diminished chord. Left hand has to jump down. So what we've done here is we're playing it very simply. One chord at the beginning of every measure. And then here, 2 chords. And now the chorus. We'll sneak that B flat minor chord in there. So notice I'm using inversions wherever it makes it a little bit easier to change the chords in my left hand, to go from one chord to another. Now, let's try adding a few extra notes in the right hand. And what you can do, if you know how to read the notes, you can actually play soprano and alto together. You may have to alter the alto part a little bit to match the chords that you're playing. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. You can just kind of experiment. And so on. Now, let's see if we can do something to liven up the left hand a little bit. There's a couple of different ways you could do this. Instead of just playing the block chords, once again, we could play broken chords, something like this. Just a very simple left-hand accompaniment. You could also play it like this. This might be a little harder. Now, I would encourage you, when you're figuring out the chords to use, write them down. You may want to just print out the hymn from the hymnal so you're not actually writing in your hymnal, especially if it's one that you've borrowed from the church. Write the chords in, and then you can practice outlining that chord as a broken chord as your accompaniment. So there's 2 different ways you can do it. This way, or you can outline the chord covering in an octave. And then right there, you'll have to change the pattern a little bit to keep your hands from crashing into each other. And then here you can outline the entire diminished chord. And then switch patterns there. Then to the chorus. Let's start adding some other notes in the left hand, or in the right hand rather. Whoops. Let's see, I think we'll just stay on the F7 chord there. Whew, I still can't play and talk at the same time. Let's start from Morning by Morning. Here we go. So I'm adding the alto line wherever it works. And then here, when you get to the end, you can just play chords. Of course, there are many other things you can do. You can play the melody in octaves. And you can experiment with other ways to play this beautiful, meaningful hymn. I hope you found this helpful, and I hope you enjoyed playing this beautiful hymn. Maybe you'll get a chance to play it in church someday, or you'll get a chance to play it for your friends and they can sing along. If you have any questions or comments, please be sure to leave those in the comment section. Any suggestions for other songs or hymns that you would like to study and learn how to play, you can let me know also in the comment section. If you'd like to support my work, you can go to my Patreon page. The link will be in the description. Thank you to all of you who have recently subscribed to the channel, and also a special thank you to my patrons who have so generously supported At Home with Music. Thank you again for watching, and I look forward to speaking to you in the next one.